Hello, today we're going to be talking about bass clarinet necks. And what you just heard me play was the Buffet Tosca bass clarinet, which is going to be the guinea pig for today. And I played it with a stock neck that comes with the Buffet Tosca. So this is the neck that comes with the instrument when you buy it. And then I went ahead and I played it on the Buffet Icon neck. Now Buffet also makes this neck, but it's an aftermarket neck. You have to buy it separately, and it costs about $750 or so. It is exactly the same geometry as the stock neck, except this neck is plated with and lacquered with red copper. I'm also going to talk about this neck, which is the Blashaus bass clarinet neck. This neck is also something that you buy aftermarket. It is brass that is plated in gold. And then finally, I'm going to talk about this neck, which is a stock neck from a student bass clarinet made in China. Now, there's an interesting thing about necks. As clarinet players, we go ahead and we try every barrel we can put our hands on, right? There are hundreds and hundreds of people that make clarinet barrels now. And so, we think about, yeah, of course I'm going to try another barrel for my clarinet, but we never really think, well, most of us never really think, I'm going to try some necks on my bass clarinet. Why? Because there aren't so many to try. Also, they're kind of expensive. But today, I'm going to play them for you, and I'm going to talk about the differences and why you might want to consider having another neck, be it, this Blashaus neck or this Buffet Icon neck. So as I began the process, I went ahead and I put all of these necks on a scale to see how much they weighed. I put the stock Tosca neck on the scale, and it read 208 grams. When I put the copper Icon neck for the Tosca, it weighed 224 grams. So this is a heavier neck. I'll get into why a heavier neck makes a difference in a second. I put the Blashaus gold-plated neck on the scale, and it weighed a whopping 314 grams. It's quite heavy. And then I went ahead and I put this student bass clarinet neck on the scale, and it weighed a measly 174 grams, which is to say that the Blashaus neck weighs almost twice what the student bass clarinet neck weighs. So why does weight matter? Well, it has to do with the way the bass clarinet responds when you play it. Yes, the timbre and the sound is different, between a gold versus a copper versus a silver neck. But what I think makes a bigger difference is the weight and composition of the metal itself. And here's why. This is the student bass clarinet neck that weighs 174 grams. And this is a mouthpiece. Now, when the mouthpiece and reed vibrate the air, basically how you're generating the vibrations for the instrument, that vibrating air has to go through the neck. Now, if the neck itself vibrates or self-vibrates, if it's not efficient in getting that vibrating air into the wood as quickly as possible, what's going to happen is the instrument doesn't respond as fast. So when you're playing articulations, when you're trying to get a sound out piano, the vibration that happens in the neck itself makes a difference. So when you have a neck like the Icon neck, which is copper, so it has a different metallurgic quality, I suppose, than the silver, and I couldn't tell you what the difference is, it feels like the instrument responds quicker when I'm playing the Icon neck compared to when I'm playing the stock bass clarinet neck. I also think the sound is a little bit silkier or whatever, but ultimately, the sound that you get out of the instrument is the sound that you have in your ear. And what you want is you want that sound to be able to translate as easily as possible into the instrument. So if you're playing a neck that doesn't make it easy for you to get the sound you want, all it is just making your life harder. So when you get a neck that has a faster response, that has a better sound, it just means that you have to do less work to get the sound you want out of the instrument you have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these necks on that Tosca bass clarinet again, which is right over here, and I'm going to play them for you. I'm going to talk about the response that I feel. If you want to put on some headphones, this would be a good time. Turn the quality up on the video as high as it'll go on your computer so that you can hear what this $4,000 tube mic that I have right here picks up in the studio here, which, by the way, is why I'm in the studio. I want you to have the best quality sound as I can give you so you can make judgment calls based on, an internet video. We'll do the best that we can, but let's get started with that now. Starting off, I'd like to pick a lyrical etude in this middle register, in the clarion register of the bass clarinet. So I'm picking etude number 13 from the Rose 32 to demonstrate and to try these necks back to back. Here we go. Interesting. Okay, so in that particular case, the Blashaus neck responded and went across breaks the best of all of them. Really, this is it felt the best for me. I liked the sound of the icon neck a little bit better, but the response of the Blashaus neck to me was really so easy to go between the registers, and the registers themselves felt so even in terms of timbre. I'm wondering if you can hear that through the microphone. All right, moving on. Now I'm going to test staccato on these necks. And what I'm looking for is the instrument to respond as quickly as possible. I don't want to feel any resistance to the instrument itself vibrating. Interesting. So of those three necks, I actually preferred the way the stock Tosca neck played, the silver-plated stock neck. It felt like it had a quicker response compared to all three of these. The icon neck, the sound of it had a more silky feel to it. I don't know if that matters so much in a staccato passage like this, but it did definitely register a different timbre compared to the silver one. I found that the Blashaus neck itself, it feels like it is a little bit out of adjustment. So it feels like it's not responding as quickly as I expected it to. Okay, moving to the Khachaturian Piano Concerto Bass Clarinet excerpt. This is mostly in the lower Chalumeau register. It goes all the way down to a low C. And it really doesn't go much higher than a middle B in the clarion register. So this is all about legato, expansive playing in the lower register. And I want to hear how these necks respond and how they sound down there as I kind of really blow a lot of air through the instrument. Okay, so that was also an interesting test. Again, it's a toss-up for me because on one hand, I like the response of some of the necks. I like the sound of other of the necks, and I like them all for different reasons. I like the stock bass clarinet neck for this one because it has a little bit more of an edge. It has more high frequencies. It's, I don't want to say buzzier, but it's got more bite to the sound. The copper, and this might be a preference of yours, the copper neck tends to smooth some of that edge out a little bit, which for me, especially coming from a Selmer mindset and the sound that I like the edge down there, but a lot of people prefer a more mellow sound down there, and I would say that the Icon neck wins that particular challenge. Again, the Blashaus neck is still the easiest in a lot of ways to play, but the sound of this one didn't have as much body to it. It didn't have as much roundness to it, so the lower and lower mid frequencies did not come out as much in this particular neck, in this excerpt. And finally, something loud and fast and bombastic. I want to see how well the instrument responds when I'm playing something like this, which is one of my favorite excerpts, the Shostakovich Violin Concerto Bass Clarinet excerpt. Here we go. That I was expecting. The Icon neck really opened up under a lot of volume. I love the way it sounds. I thought I was going to like this the best, or maybe this the best. It's a toss-up between these two for me. Tonally, this has a nice ring to it. The copper, God, I mean, the sound, you know, some people equate sound to colors, and there's a name for that. But the color that I get out of this, surprisingly, is red. When I played it, I'm animated because I just wasn't expecting the Icon neck to really open up that way under a lot of volume. You know, I play on a Blashaus neck all the time, so I kind of knew what to expect with this. But this was a real surprise for me. Wow. Okay. So there you have it. I was surprised, actually, by a lot of what I experienced when I played these three back to back to back. I was expecting to like the Blashaus because I play it all the time. I did, but on the Tosca, you know, it became really a toss-up between this neck and the Blashaus neck. Though, I gotta say, if all you've got is the stock bass clarinet neck, you're doing pretty well, because I liked that one too. The subtleties and nuances of these necks really come out in these different excerpts that I played under these, I don't want to call them extreme conditions because I wasn't playing that loud or that soft, but the Icon neck, I would say for the money, this is the better value than the Blashaus neck. I think the Blashaus neck has a great sound to it, and I love the way it responds, but really for $750 compared to the Blashaus, which is I think $2,000 for that neck, this neck, you can't really go wrong. So I give this a thumbs up. The Icon bass clarinet neck from Buffet is a great neck if you want to try something different. And hey, you know, you can always pick one up and try it for a week or two, and if you don't like it, I'm sure most places, I know I have a return policy, so you can try it for yourself, or if you're ever in New York, give me a call. You can come try all of the ones that I have, and I have a lot. Anyway, so this has been the Icon neck, and in general, talking about necks. I hope this was helpful for you guys, and we will see you next time.